A series of unfortunate events, along with a series of interesting press conferences. Since hashtag Run the Table has been used, should we just focus on hashtag Win the North? Miami is the first step, and Milwaukee is ready to cheer hard next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hey Packers fans, this is your unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and these are the podcasters you're looking for. One of these guys, even though he's a huge fan of the Packers, he doesn't like bratwursts and wonders if that's wrong. And the other guy bangs the drum all day and thinks, touchdown. And now it's time to go, Pack, go! With your hosts, Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinritz.
Brilliant of you to join us for this 167th edition of your Packers Fan Podcast. That's right. It's the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. Wayne Henderson here. I'm the Packers fan who still truly believes in my green and gold heart that the Packers are able to win every single game for the rest of this season. And we're recording this edition of your Packers Fan Podcast November 6th, 2018.
And I'm at Troy Heinritz, disappointed that we did not get the best a man can get at Gillette Stadium this past Sunday night. But we will move on and talk about that heartbreaking defeat there in Beantown as we try to decipher the cryptic messages in the press conferences we've seen thus far. And we'll do some playoff math on how we hashtag Win the North, plus the latest in our NFC North roundup.
And for better or worse, we're going to go over the latest injury updates. We're going to preview that Dolphins at Packers game and have the results from this week's Twitter and Facebook poll. And, of course, your G-Force feedback. Thank you for all of that. You gave us a call at 920-3PACK-GO and sent some in from email, and we're going to share it in just a little bit.
All links and articles we reference in tonight's episode can be found on our website. You know it, PackersFanPodcast.com/167 for this 167th edition, where we have some highlights from some newbies. Man, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. We're going to have to say that name a lot because Geronimo Allison looking like he might be headed to the IR. Scantling will be replacing him most likely and making a name for himself, catching everything that's come his way.
Yeah, that was one of the best parts of this game, even though we had less points than the Patriots when time ran out. Marquez Valdes-Scantling looked awesome. Jimmy Graham was looking pretty dang good himself. Good to see the wide receiving core and tight ends doing their job for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. And I loved that, in not just even Valdez in this case, but a lot of the players, so many injuries happening during the course of the game and people stepping up and moving around and shifting spots. And for the most part, we were hanging with the Patriots all the way to that fourth quarter. And fortunately, the fumble happened and that kind of derailed the entire operation. But up to that point, things were looking pretty good considering how battered we were. I also really liked, Wayne, the hurry-up offense made its return kind of almost out of necessity. The Patriots made it look super, super easy in that first possession of the game. So for us to have to go there as well, and we executed as flawlessly as we normally do until this mystical thing called the red zone showed up. And we'll talk a little bit more about the red zone and our red zone problems this year. But for the most part, I was really excited to see that the offense was moving the ball pretty well and that we were running the football.
Now, do you think we would do a lot better in the red zone if they actually painted that part of the field red just to make sure that everybody knew where we were?
Well, this was a new thing that I was noticing on the NBC telecast. It's like the whole, like where the first down range is that they need to go. Notice how the grass was so much greener?
You mean the fake field turf?
Field turf. Yeah, sorry. My bad.
But it was
fake
greener.
Field turf. But it was greener in the part of the space where they had to go to get the first down. So yeah, maybe when they get down to the red zone, if they could change that from green to red, Christmas colors, who knows? It'd be fun.
And make it so that the players could see it. That'd be nice. But yeah, the Patriots really started out fast, and we were just trying to keep up that pace, and it was not easy. But I think that's a secret of what we need to do.
Well, I love the fact that we actually started running the ball again. 110 rushing yards from our two backs comes out to a 5.2 yard per carry average between the two of them. So the 1-2 punch definitely having its effect. Problem is we're just not 1-2 punching it inside that red zone. For some reason, we are super pass happy inside the 20, and I don't get that at all.
Yeah, I would think it'd be the other way around. If anything else, once you get down to the red zone, that's when you definitely pound the rock, run the ball, get some rushing touchdowns. I'm not sure what's going on with trying to pass for touchdowns all the time.
Yeah, and sadly, we can't even say Rodgers was a highlight in this game because
isn't that weird?
I think he threw away more footballs than I throw away bad fruit in my fridge.
Oh my! I just let the bad fruit sit in the fridge till it crawls off on its own.
Ew! No, that's disgusting.
Yes, it is.
When your onions are growing their own onions, that's bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the circle of life. But we did not escape without fresh injuries.
Yeah, dropping like flies, especially on the defensive side. Man, but Blake Martinez going down, that one's going to hurt. So hopefully he's back in there before the Miami game. Otherwise, we got some shuffling we got to do. But the good thing is that the shuffling actually seemed like it was pretty good. Patton, for what looked like a pretty weak, number 2, number 3 coming off the bench on the defensive side of the ball, Patton's put together some pretty nice packages. It seemed that they could actually do the job if we need it to happen the way it happened there in the third and fourth quarters on Sunday night.
Yeah, if only the game would have been less quarters or more quarters. There was just something about that fourth quarter. Things just weren't really happening. And, of course, the injuries really got to us, and Rodgers was running out of gas as far as, trying to make magic happen. There's only so much even Aaron Rodgers can do, especially when his knee is not 100%. He may not have been wearing the brace, right? But
I believe it was not wearing the brace.
But still, not quite 100%.
And it's challenging, too, when you have to play against a formidable opponent like the Patriots, but then you also have to play against this opponent called the officials.
Oh,
I mean, 2-on-1. I mean, that's just not easy odds to come back from.
In this game, the officiating was the pinnacle of ineptitude. I mean, it's no wonder that some people suspect shenanigans, balderdash, falderall, whatever you want to call it, that I know. Obviously, they're not probably really being paid off by the Patriots, but it sure seems like some of the refs love the Patriots so much that subconsciously they can hardly bring themselves to make some calls against them. I did see some, and I had hope. And then there was just, insane non-calls and insane calls.
Yeah, I mean the ejection. I didn't realize that a slapping fight was cause for an ejection.
Yeah,
it's like one of those things where you see the kids are like, no you, and then they start flinging their hands around. It was like, really? That's what we're gonna throw people out of the game for? A little love tap to the face mask? Come on, let the guys play football.
Yeah, and of course, as always, the person initiating the whole thing got nothing.
Never gets seen.
And
that was more violent than the slap was.
It was. And then the slap, even if it had been a punch, which it wasn't, to be ejected from the game?
Yeah. Seemed like it would have been more like, hey, just go to the sideline, cool off for a play, then you can come back in. No, he was like, he's gone. Everybody's like, what just happened?
I mean, even Patriots fans, I'm sure, were like, we appreciate the gift, but wow, I don't understand. Another thing I did not understand regarding the officials was that so-called roughing the kicker penalty.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I mean, even if it had been fully roughing the kicker and banging into his other leg and causing an injury, there's still no way in hell that defensive penalty occurred when it was 4th and 20-something that should warrant an automatic first down.
That went along with pass interference. 10 yards is the most any penalty should be.
Yeah, this is another one of those rules that needs to be changed. And the fact that the refs have no clue what they're doing is just an insult to everyone trying to watch NFL games.
Oh, it makes it super challenging and super not fun to do anymore. I mean, I was kind of bummed out when we fumbled the football, and it was a different whole mindset of how you felt, because once the fumble happened, you knew there was no way we were going to be able to come back and win because we'd be playing from behind the rest of the game. But when the refs are out there, it's like, man, I don't want to watch it anymore. It's just frustrating. When 78,000 people in the stands and however 30 million some at home all say the same thing, and the three guys on the field say something different. It just blows my mind.
Exactly. The NFL needs to get a handle on this and their referees, because people are going to be losing even more faith in the product. We want to see a great competitive game, and great if the refs aren't adding insult to injury and the Patriots beat the Packers fair and square. Okay, fine. But
if there was one good thing for the refs, though, I was really nervous because remember that one play where Brady ends up like tucking down, like burying his head in the sand because he knew he was going to get clobbered in the sack, and he comes flying in and just like totally lands on top of him. And I'm like, oh, there's a roughing the passer, even though it was the best sack you saw all night. I was just waiting for the flag to come out, and luckily it did not. So kudos for the refs on that one. But for the most part, the refs still suck.
Yeah, definitely. And so does field turf. It looked to me if they were. What's that?
I hate field turf.
Oh, yeah. Hate field turf. I mean, ankles were bending the wrong way. Things were just not. I can't believe there's so many fields, indoors as well as outdoors, that are using this field turf. And like we've talked about in past years, if the Arizona Cardinals can grow and have beautiful actual grass at a stadium that's, when the roof is open, it's often 115 degrees. And when the roof's closed, the roof's closed. But still, look at the beautiful grass they're able to have. And Green Bay, up in the frozen tundra where it's getting cold, it's still going to look beautiful. It can be done. We have the technology.
I got news for you. It isn't getting cold. It already is.
Oh, well.
It is chilly here in the Midwest.
I need to check the weather forecast a bit more.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, with all the technology available to us, the fact that we have cloud computing and all this other stuff, and our smartphones are even more faster than the desktops that we have on a regular basis at our offices, there's got to be a way to be able to grow grass indoors and get rid of this garbage that just causes people to trip and fall and bend in ways that your body is not intended to be bent.
Exactly.
I feel like we have this conversation every year at some point.
And I think we're going to until they fix this nonsense. Oh, the running game.
We mentioned the running game and how we do not use it in the red zone. I mean, I don't understand when you have 5.2 yards per carry on average between your two guys, why you throw it 4 times in a row when we're goal to go. I mean, that one, it was ridiculous. What was it? It was the 9 yards to go, and then we get the false start. Not the false start, the delay of game pushes us back. You can still run it twice and get closer than you have a simple dump-off pass. But I just don't understand why when you're goal to go that you're not running the football.
It's the same kind of mind-boggling thing when you have the ball on the 2-yard line on your own end and you have 98 yards to go and you throw a nice lateral pass for no gain.
Can we talk about that play?
Why not?
I mean, seriously, like you're in the same position you were in last week against the Rams. Here you luckily were able to get Aaron Jones, and he barely got out. I mean, barely got out to give him some breathing room. Now you have some breathing room. People know you're going to run it. They know you're going to run it. So why not do a pass? But why not do one of those things where you like hand it off and play action or RPO or something, and then you just chuck the ball 99 yards down the field like a Brett Favre 99-yard touchdown. I mean, we haven't done that once in these situations. Like, if you want to take your shot on first down. They know you're going to run the ball on first down, play action pass, and totally chuck that thing as far as you can throw it and see what happens. If I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I think it's a mystery. And we got a couple of new injuries. At this point, the injury updates were coming in from that game looking a bit like a CVS pharmacy receipt. If you're here in the States, you've seen those. They just tack on all kinds of things. But in the end,
or if you're my wife, it looks like a Hobby Lobby and Michael's receipt combined.
Yes. You're definitely a crafty family. You love the crafts, and I totally understand. But what's interesting is looking at the Packers injury report today, unless there was
not so bad.
Yeah, either Blake Martinez is doing miraculously better, or there was some reason that they accidentally forgot to put him on there because I don't see him. Geronimo Allison, unfortunately, is likely out for the entire season, Troy.
Yeah, something about a muscle surgery that they have to have done. So if he goes through with that because of where we are in the season and the time to recover, it's basically like, don't even bother bringing him back. Just save him for next year, especially because we have Equiminius and Scantling there able to pick up the slack. So unfortunately, my fantasy football team, say Geronimo. Yeah, we're going to say sayonara instead.
Any rumblings of Kumaro?
This would be the opportune time. So if you're putting Geronimo on, I would absolutely reactivate Kumaro and put him on the squad at this point.
And at the same time, Kevin King, status uncertain. I guess that's just a day-to-day, week-to-week thing.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with King. King is an anomaly right now. I don't know if this is one of those where it's just a weird injury year for him and he'll be better and back at it next year, or if this is like a prolonged issue that's going to plague him his whole career, in which case we should have just cut him too at the same time we cut everybody else last week.
Oh my goodness. At least we're not giving away the farm like the Raiders are.
Well, they should give away the farm because whatever team's out there is terrible. Poor Jordy.
I know, poor Jordy. I really, honestly feel terrible for Jordy Nelson. We miss you.
Can we get Jordy and Jared Cook back at a bargain since they're selling the farm out there?
Hey, it's possible. That's an interesting thought. Reunited because it feels so good. We'll find out, and I promise to stop doing singing things like that. The Dolphins have some injuries as well, but they've got mighty quarterbacks coming to Lambeau Field this week, so we'll see.
Well, the big one is Tannehill. Tannehill looked like he was going to be able to come back this week, and Tannehill, they said, well, they're going to keep him out probably one more week because they do have their bye the week after, and so I do not think we will be seeing Tannehill this weekend.
Yeah, I saw one of the television analysts saying, Brock Osweiler is going to go off on the Packers.
Yeah, whatever.
We better be careful. Like you said before, there's always that one game a year where, just like that Buffalo Bills game or the Lions game, some things happen that should not happen, and we need this win.
That was the Redskins game. That was our one game for the year.
Oh, okay. So this one we're back to normal because, next week on your Packers Fan Podcast, I'd love to be talking about a victory.
I would love to be talking about a victory too because the downloads are tanking because of it. Come on, guys. Win one for the podcast.
And the G-Force people everywhere. We're going to check in with the listener feedback. And again, you too can be part of the show by giving us a call right after the game at 920-3-PACK-GO. Whether or not your voice is shot, while you've got that fervor in your heart, give us a call or simply go to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback for the other methods.
Hey guys, it's Andre in LA. Go Pack Go. This is another disappointing loss. This is really starting to feel like it's not going to be our season. I'm keeping the faith. We can still get off a nice little run. Thankfully, our division is not doing that well this season. But I'm really frustrated and disappointed. I don't understand why it feels like, for whatever reason, the Patriots always win these type of games, and we don't win these type of games as consistently as you would think, despite the fact we have Aaron Rodgers. I liked what I saw early in the first half. We were sticking with the run. Aaron Jones was doing really well. The offense still doesn't feel like it's completely in sync. Jimmy Graham has been somewhat of a disappointment this year, even though he's got the touchdown today. Devontae Adams has been good, but it just feels like, for whatever reason, our offense isn't in sync. The defense did really well, despite giving up the big play to Brady late. The run, at times, we had trouble stopping the run. But it's just, I don't know what the issue is with us for this season. Is it the coaching? Is it the play calling? It doesn't feel like we're very creative like other teams are. I mean, I can't think of any trick plays we've done at all this season. And I can think of a couple plays, trick plays that worked against us this season. I remember the Bears to start the season off had a couple trick plays. The Patriots yesterday, it's just the injuries. I just don't understand why every year we're injured so much. Is it the training staff? Is it the cold weather? I don't get it. But it seems like every year I look up and half our team is on IR. I don't know what the issue is, but it feels like it's going to be a disappointing season if we don't turn things around. I mean, we still got a shot. We still play the Bears. We can beat them. We already beat them once. I believe we can go on the road and defeat the Vikings. We can beat Detroit and make up that loss. We still got a shot. We just got to keep the faith, green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Go Pack, go. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Andre in LA.
Andre, man, don't lose faith, because remember, take out the referees in a couple of these games and take out Ty Montgomery returning the run out of the end zone, and this is still a 6-2 team on paper. Now, granted, it doesn't reflect that in the standings, but they are a 6-2 team as far as talent, as far as coaching. All of that seems like everything should be fine for the last 8 games of the season. Now, the difference between why the Patriots win these games and why we do not is because Kraft, Brady, Belichick, those guys have been like in sync since this whole thing started in this dynasty. And the big thing there is, of course, Brady and Belichick. And you really have to sit there and scratch your head when you listen to these press conferences after the game. You got Rodgers after the press conference, like literally falling on the sword. It's my fault. I need to play better. I'm taking the team on my shoulders. My bad this week. And McCarthy is like 2 questions and he's out. And what was funny was that when you watch the press conferences after the game, the Packers.com, they're standing there and yet you don't know, like, total conspiracy theory here, by the way.
Okay.
But you're watching the press conferences and it just ends. Like most of the time, the press conferences, you hear 2 questions left, and the 2 questions come, and then you see Aaron, and he kind of walks away from the podium as they cut the video. This week, for some reason, both Rodgers' press conference and on McCarthy's press conference, it just looks like it ends. Like there was more questions coming, and I don't know if there was more there that we didn't get to pick up on because they didn't want us to hear certain things. So maybe that's just me being conspiracy theorist, and because we have 4 losses and it's just not gelling, because we have Joe Philbin, offensive coordinator, 2011, 15-1, points like they were coming out of heaven. Like, what's going on? Did Miami ruin him or something when he was down there as the head coach? I don't get it. So the offense just seems to really need to figure out its identity, figure out what it needs to do. And if this is still a question of, receivers can't get separation and we like to go schoolyard and all of this other stuff. The other big difference between Brady versus Rodgers, even though Rodgers is still the greatest of all time, because rings don't mean crap, because 22 people play on a team, not just one. But when you look at true statistical things between Rodgers and Brady, Rodgers is leaps ahead of Brady as far as points and passer rating, etc. But the difference between them is that Brady goes for the short throws. And when you do short throws consistently, it's as good as a run game, and it keeps the ball moving, where Rodgers is always thinking deep ball. Like every time he comes out, he's thinking deep ball and holding onto the ball 3-4 seconds rather than going back to those quick, to Randall Cobb in the slot or back shoulder throw, 10-yard button hook kind of things out to Jordy Nelson, which you could totally do with Tay. So there's a lot of things there that are not fundamental things from Joe Philbin's office in 2011 that we're currently not doing today. And that's the biggest difference of why the Patriots win these things and the Packers don't.
Yep.
which is yeah, I'm good.
No, I could not say it any better. And Andre, you brought up great points about, why do we always seem to be so injured year in and year out? And we've been digging deep and we cannot come up with a reason. There are some other teams with some pretty hefty injuries. The Packers just seem to be a team that, for whatever reason, we're the team that gets a lot of injuries. And I did want to ask you, Troy, what do you think about what Andre brought up with the lack of trick plays?
I don't care. Trick plays are trick plays. There's a time and a place for them, but if you're running your offense the way you're supposed to be running the offense, there's no need for trick plays. I mean, we had a trick play. It's this borderline pick play that goes on where you line up the trips on the one side and the 2 guys look like they're going to be a run blocker because it's the power sweep, and then all of a sudden there's a catch from a receiver that goes behind the 2 blockers. Then trick plays are trick plays. I mean, there's The only time I think a trick play is good is when you're somewhere between the 45s and you got to punt the ball. And then if you can pull off a fake punt, kudos, the whole, throw it to Edelman, throw it back to Brady, go, toss it down the field thing. When it works, but it doesn't work all of the time. So just because it happens to work for the Patriots, I wouldn't get too worried about the trick plays.
Although I was pretty happy in the Super Bowl when they tried throwing that pass to Brady that, it was just a little far past his hands.
Shucks.
That was too bad. The thing about trick plays, I love to watch them when they work really, really well.
Like in the case of this one that we saw on Sunday.
No, I'm actually thinking of, I believe it was in the Titans game. I believe Marcus Mariota, they were down around the 10-yard line, and they did the best fake handoff that then turned into a shuttle pass that I've ever seen in my entire life. I watched it 3 or 4 times in a row, and I still thought, that is sleight of hand. The only problem
was that the one that we were watching at your house before the Rams game? When I was like, dude, look at Mariota just kind of like flick it out there like he was falling. It looked like he was falling to the ground, and he just,
this was
amazing.
Just last night. I think he...
Oh, really?
He's
got
done
this 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, he's got great sleight of hand or something, and they managed to beat the Cowboys, so that's a win-win right there. So that was great. The only problem with trick plays is when they go wrong, they go horribly wrong.
You mean kind of like when Matthew Stafford is trying to lateral it backwards when he shouldn't be lateraling it at all? Whoops.
Speaking of Michigan, let's check back in with our listener line. We got a call from Mr. Hank Davis.
Hi, guys. This is Hank calling in from the Thumb of Michigan. I think it's time to address the elephant in the room, and that appears to be the strained relationship between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. You can always tell when something is amiss when two people appear to stop communicating with each other and instead use a third party, which in this case is the media. So I ask you, gentlemen, who would you like to see become the head coach of the Packers if Mike McCarthy doesn't survive the coaching carousel? The good thing about this season is that the Packers are in the NFC North, and you can rest easy knowing that those other teams will give the Packers every opportunity possible to win the division. So the season is definitely not lost, but just looking at the writing on the wall with McCarthy and Rodgers, there seems to be a lot of tension. And if we can just speculate wildly for a minute, I'd be really interested to hear who you guys would like to have as head coach in this scenario. Love the podcast. Keep up the great work. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so very much, Hank. Great to get the message from you. And yes, let's hear it for the NFC North, especially this season, Troy.
Whoever thought we would have been the garbage dump of the NFC right now?
It could be worse, but it could be the New York Giants.
Ooh.
Oh, snap.
Hank
touching on the fact that what if Mike McCarthy is let go at the end of this season? And of course, there's all the rumors that the Cleveland Browns have him on speed dial or something to try to hire him for the Browns, which could be a good fit.
Is that where Holmgren went to?
I can't keep track of where all our former people go these days. If they don't go to the Raiders, they go to the Seahawks. And if they don't go to the Raiders or the Seahawks, it could be the Cleveland Browns. It's hard to say. But, wow, the elephant in the room, Hank. Who would we like to see as our next head coach if, by some chance, Mike McCarthy, with all of his victories, is finally let go? I do think we need at least a new play caller for sure. But if we get a new head coach, I'm going to say New England Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. I mean, can you imagine Josh McDaniels' offensive mindset paired with Pettine's defensive mindset? The two together could be green and gold magic. What say you, Sir Troy?
Oh, that's very interesting. I like that. You look at you using your big noggin.
Well, there's not all that many names I know, so, you know.
Well, clearly you can't have Mike Pettine or Joe Philbin become the head coach because they've already done that and failed. So that's not going to happen. So they'll stay in their exact positions. Honestly, at this point, I'll take either Gruden at this point. I mean, Raiders are already fire sailing everything else, so why not just get rid of the coach they just hired?
Really? Bring him back to Green Bay?
bring him back to Green Bay and let him have some fun with a winning roster, either that or grab his brother. It's fine.
Either Gruden. Wow, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, on your Packers Fan Podcast. So great question, Hank. Thanks again for the message. Hope you're feeling much better very soon, my friend. Now, on this week's Monday Twitter poll, which is, of course, on Twitter, as well as in our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group, what should our Packers do to turn around this season and win the division? And the basic choices, because I couldn't list like all 50 possible options of what we should do. Focus on fundamentals or change who is calling the plays. And believe it or not, Troy, 80% of the voters said change who is calling the plays.
It's getting a little stale, I must admit.
And 20%, of course, you've talked many times in the past on this show, fundamentals.
And what's interesting is that 100% of these answers have to do with coaching.
Interesting point. Going back to what Hank brought up.
Again, McCarthy is the third most winningest coach. So you just have to go, is it a McCarthy thing? Is it a McCarthy with the rest of the staff thing? Is it just too much change too quickly with new GM, new offensive coordinator? Alex was gone, right? Rodgers' quarterback coach was gone, and they got him a new quarterback coach. I mean, maybe it's just too much change too fast.
Could be. We did get a write-in vote in the Facebook group for fire the defensive coach and the defensive players. Oh my!
This is probably one of their better games.
Yeah, exactly.
If anything, if we come out of this and we don't make the playoffs, and if we don't make the playoffs, I think you have to fire McCarthy if you don't make the playoffs 2 years in a row. I think if anything comes out of this season, if we said that Mike Pettin was supposed to turn this defense around, I absolutely think between him and Goody, they did one hell of a job this year.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about the Atlanta game anymore. At the start of the season, I was super worried that we were playing Atlanta again.
Well, I'm pretty excited that the Atlanta game is actually in Green Bay this time for a change. In a very cold month of the year for a change.
But they also have very different people playing in that game now, so
that
we'll
too
see what happens.
We shall see very, very soon. Aaron Peterson commented on the Facebook community poll saying they are losing games due to lack of fundamentals, period.
Exclamation point.
With no question mark.
I mean, the fumble is one thing. I mean, the fumble happens. But it was really challenging to watch everything happen. And then the ball just gets punched out because, granted, he's like Supermaning over the person who's falling down. But you got to keep that ball close to your body. You can't have it out there in open space. And what happened, and you got to deal with it and move on.
And we have to make sure that we are always up by at least 15 points so that if something like that does happen, it doesn't immediately crush our hopes and dreams.
Oh, man, it totally took the wind out of the sails as that fourth quarter started. I was like, man, come on. Like, I just watched 2.5 hours of this, and now you're going to throw it away. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's about the time you texted me and said, I'm going to bed.
Yep.
Because we had the time change, everything's thrown off. Don Lejeune, Granny Cheese herself, said maybe if the guys would learn where they're supposed to be lined up on the field so that Rodgers doesn't have to tell them almost every single time. Maybe if they learn their routes, maybe if they catch and hold on to the ball more, so much that they need to work on. So very much.
And let me tell you, Packers Fan Podcast people, Don Lejeune, Granny Cheese herself, never, ever sounds defeated. And this is, I mean, when you have a sad face emoji tied to her comment, like, things are bad. If Granny Cheese is sad, things are bad.
Is that a haiku?
Maybe.
I don't know those things. Poetry. Very confusing.
All right, well, let's check in with Steven and see if Mr. Negativity himself will continue this week.
Oh, no.
From Palos Park, Illinois, Steven says, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. I thought we fired Dom Capers at the end of last season, and the Packers' defense is still bad. I don't think it was that bad. I mean, the fourth quarter kind of sucked, but yeah, it was good for 3. And now I'm calling for the heads of Mike McCarthy and Mike Pettin, the defensive coordinator, and so far doesn't seem to be any better than Dom Capers. I would disagree. The only way we can get into the playoffs is if we either win out the rest of the season. Not true. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Or at least win most of the games, as now our season is half over and 8 games remain. With that said, we can move on to our next game in the Miami Dolphins, and finally a team we should be able to beat. But the Dolphins did beat the New York Jets. Not that hard. So they'll be coming in with a 5-4 record right now. I don't know if we can beat them. Have faith. Remember, Packers fans, Dolphins game is flexed from a noon kickoff to 3:25 Central.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't know what's going on with the teams in New York and Buffalo, but yeah, they're having a rough year for sure.
I want to know, more importantly, what games suck so bad that Packers Dolphins gets flexed to the afternoon game.
I was just going to ask, why does a game at Lambeau Field get flexed to 3:25 Central?
Great if it's a Milwaukee game. More time to tailgate, have some fun, which it is because it's a gold package weekend. Unfortunately, I do not have tickets for this one. This one goes to my grandfather. But yeah, good stuff. 3:25. Lots more time to hang out at the pro shop. Lots more time to check out Titletown District and go and see the sights. Maybe do a little Packers Heritage Trail if you haven't been up there to do that. All good things for tourism. So I'd much rather have a 3:25 game personally when I go up there to visit, because then game gets done at 6. You can still be back by 9 if you're coming all the way to Chicago like me, or I can stop at the Folks Place in Jackson, their West Bend area. I'd much rather have a 3:25 game because I think you get to enjoy the Green Bay area more than you do if it's a noon game.
Interesting way to look at it. It's very different. For example, the game's not slated to be aired here in Southern California, and I have a feeling it's not going to be airing in a lot of areas. So I will be going to the sports bar to watch the game, but it'll be 1:25 Pacific time, well past breakfast. I'll actually be watching a Packers game away from home and not having breakfast food. This is going to make everything totally different.
Oh, man.
I think some nice garlic pizzas on the docket, but we'll see. We also got an email from Caleb. Hey, Packers family. Caleb Fisher, Lorna LaPointe, and Mary Herkman's here from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Just wanted to say that our player should not have been kicked out of that game, and it seemed to us that we started out strong, but it didn't end very well. It was very disappointing when we lost. No matter what happens, though, we will never stop cheering for our Green Bay Packers. Bleed green and gold till you're dead and cold. Go, Pack, go. Caleb Fisher. And yes, that player definitely should not have been kicked out of the game. That was insane. Even Chris Collinsworth, who can never shut up on television, even he was like, So thank you very much, Caleb Fisher, Lorna LaPointe, and Mary Herkmans for your email.
On top of the emails, we had some really great discussion in the Packers Fan Podcast community group. That's at packerscommunity.com. Peter Allison said, do we know how to run anything other than deep routes on offense? No, we don't. Never seemed anyone caring about just getting the first down. Big fundamental problem of this specific game, Peter. I'm like, you just need 3, Aaron. Just need 3. 3, not 30, 3. Just go deep and hope Rodgers can make a play. I guess the offense cost us. The D did what it could despite all those wonderful injuries, the refs, and our own wonderful individuals that like to give penalties away. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe Rodgers just wants to, throw some long bombs, get the touchdown, get back on the side of the field and start getting to work on his next State Farm commercial or
his Bose commercial
or some other commercial. Focus on football, my friends.
All of them need to focus on football unless on the sponsorship endorsements.
Amen.
Because sponsorship endorsements only happen if you win Super Bowls. Just saying.
Yeah, let's win a couple more of those. Then we'll talk. And when we asked for post-game voicemails, James Vay said, I hope we weren't asking for those just because we wanted to hear him cry.
Oh, man. I totally get you, James. I mean, I have 2 kids. Daylight savings time, both of them make me cry every year. Marty Dixon said, we just don't make sufficient adjustments throughout the hour. The D on the whole played well despite the injuries and that ridiculous ejection. The offense is seriously lacking. Something needs to change. Don't ask me what, though. See, this is the problem, Marty. If you're going to call out a problem, you have to come with a solution. You can't complain about it if you don't have a way to fix it.
Well, it's not up to Marty to fix it.
You could comment, and maybe Mark Murphy hears the podcast because he was with the SoCal Packerbackers, and the SoCal Packerbackers are helping us promote the show, and then it gets to Mike and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a chain reaction, Marty. You could be the one thing that saves the season.
Marty, let us know how to save this season. And yeah, definitely, things like the play calling, because some of that is just bonkers. Trying to keep people healthy, though I don't know how you do that. Again, I don't have a solution to keeping people healthy, but a lot of it may go back, like we said before, to, longer camp would be nice. Maybe more playing time in preseason. That might be nice.
All good points.
It's just a thought. Brett Connor says the play caller needs a change. That's what I just said. Let Joe call the plays. He's worked with Rodgers in the past, knows his game. Time to shake it up a little. The offense needs to be firing on all cylinders. They're currently acting like a two-stroke engine. Wrong play calls at the wrong time. Does that come down to coaching?
Yes.
Why? Yes. Why doesn't Rodgers call an audible at the line of scrimmage?
Every play is an audible.
Yeah, at least it looks that way on TV. That's for sure.
McCarthy talked about that in his press conference today for the quick injury update day off conversation. It was either today or yesterday. I can't remember. There's so many of them. They just run together. But they were talking about the audible thing, and he's like, yeah, every quarterback has audibles in his back pocket, and the quarterback can call the audible if he needs to based on what he sees. I don't tell him to call an audible. That's his stuff to do, and blah, 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 blah. And to me, it looked like he was audibling all night, to be quite honest.
I just hope and doubt that it's the case of actually there's a lot more calls scheduled that are supposed to be running plays, and Aaron Rodgers is like, screw that, I'm throwing the ball. I hope that's not what's happening.
Aaron is not that way.
I know, but why are we throwing the ball so much?
I mean, remember, he's like 30, mid 30s at this point. He's going to be like, man, if I got a runner, dude, I could play till I'm 45 like Brady.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good counterpoint right there. Brett continues. Rodgers sure as hell had the experience and the talent to make those calls. Maybe a lack of trust in his receivers. I think this season should be classed as a write-off. Need to play to build now. Play for confidence and trust within each other on this team. Unfortunately, it's another year of not utilizing Rodgers' talent that we miss out on.
Dude, guys, come on. Like you cannot win the Super Bowl every year. So if you're thinking Super Bowl every year, you're deluding yourself.
That's me.
Delusioning. I don't know.
I want to win the Super Bowl every year, and I think we can.
But in order to win the Super Bowl, you have to make the playoffs. So making the playoffs every year, now that's something we can strive for. And we did that 8 consecutive years, and we just missed for the first time. And that's because Rodgers was hurt. So really, I think at this point, we need to focus on is clean up the fundamentals, get the running game in a more steady pace, balance it out a little bit so that those long, deep bombs that Rodgers likes to throw are actually open when they happen because the guys are cheating up for the run, and then that gives us a chance to make a break in order to run down the sideline. So I think that it'll all be fine. We stuck with the Rams. We stuck with the Patriots for 3 quarters. The Detroit game was strictly because the turf was messing with Mason's foot. And the only real loss we had was the Skins, which is the one game I said we were going to lose because we overlooked it. So everything is good. It's all good.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We could be talking about a victory next week right here on the Packers Fan Podcast. Check out even more conversations happening in our Facebook group at packerscommunity.com, including things like folks chiming in on that ejection and the terrible officiating, some post-game press conference videos, your game day gear. We love seeing you in your stuff and your Packer layers at home, all that green and gold goodness and more, all at packerscommunity.com.
We also had some additional comments from Twitter this time. Yes, woo-hoo! Twitter. There's that thing, that little bird that just sits out there still.
And you can follow us at Packers Fan Pod.
At Packers Fan Pod, which is where at Apple Mac Mac19, Mac is M-A-K, said, last 2 losses turned on fumbles. Tough, so tough. But up till then, we were really, really in the game and could have pulled it out. Given the injuries in the secondary, there is some hope there. But Mike McCarthy's playbook is stale as hell. Someone new is needed for the youngsters to shine.
Another use of the term stale. I think we're onto something there. And McCade P8, McCade Pearson on Twitter said, defensive penalties should never result in automatic first downs. That is my hot take.
That's my hot temper.
Yeah, because
it gets my blood boiling every single time.
Stupid rules. Got to get these changed. Not just change the kickoff and whatever else they're working on.
Protect the returner, whatever. Protect the integrity of the game, man. Come on. Well, someone that always had integrity was Packers legend Willie Wood. Good old number 24 once said that determination probably was his trademark. I was talented, but so were a lot of people. I'd like people to tell you I was the toughest guy they ever played against. Well, we love that about Willie Wood, and we love the determination and toughness that Packers Fan Podcast Patreon supporter Brian brings to the table every week by supporting the podcast at the Patreon Willie Wood $24 a month level. Thank you so much, Brian. You, sir, are awesome.
Speaking of awesome, how about those Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics in their Facebook group? Thank you yet again for your monthly $12 a month Aaron Rodgers support of the show. It is so great to have that. It really does help us out. And we really appreciate your Go Pack Go that we got all synced together, and we'll share at the end of the episode every week.
And supporting the podcast at the Brett Favre $4 a monthly level, who's pretty happy about that up-and-coming Mississippi quarterback in the NFL. Man, what a great game he had for his first outing this week. The $4 pledges to dedicated lifelong Packerbacker Randy Westgame of Wausau and Jeff Summerfield. Thank you so much for your $4 contribution.
And Curly Lambeau, founder of the Packers, the $1 a month Curly Lambeau supporters. Hank Davis, that you heard earlier from the TPE network of podcasts. Aaron Peterson, who chimed in the Facebook group from the Hollywood Outsider, and Velvet Eau Claire.
Yes, you too can make the podcast even better by becoming a Packers Fan Podcast MVP. It helps us grow the show, brings you more great content, helps us do more live stuff potentially if we can get to our $500 a month goal that we have set up. So if you want live post-game call-in shows and community parties and all of that fun stuff, it does take a little bit of cash. So if you find value in the podcast, then definitely send us a few bucks our way over at PackersFanPodcast.com/support. And then whatever you feel like giving is what you can give. We got some rewards there on the side, depending on what levels you get up to. So if you want a t-shirt, you can join up at the Willie Wood level. If you want to hear your voice for the Go Pack Go, you can be in at the $12 level. And of course, if you want to go to a game at Lambeau Field next year, you got to be there at the $92 Reggie White level for just 6 months. Greatly appreciated. Help us out. PackersFanPodcast.com/support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Velvet, Jeff, Randy, Bryant, Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics, Aaron, and Hank.
With that, let's go ahead and take a look at the competition around the NFC North this week.
Wait a minute. You said competition?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, there's a couple teams with better records at this point. But
at this point in time, like the Lions, who don't have a better record at this time, and I have no idea how Matthew Stafford got $135 million. The team is terrible, and the O-line is abysmal, and we lost to these jokers. Like, scratch my head. They fired the special teams coach, which I have no idea how that actually played into anything having to do with the loss on Sunday, but whatevs. All we know at this point is that we should not have to worry about these guys when they play us at Lambeau in the closer. So let's hope they pull it together because they have some bears to eat in the jungle. That's right. The Lions are up against the Bears this week, so hopefully they can knock off the Bears. Being a divisional game, that would be fantastic. In total, though, the Lions have Panthers, Rams, Vikes, and us. So if I were a betting man, I would think the Lions will finish the year 7-9.
wow.
Not even in the conversation.
Wow. But if they have good posture, they're good.
Possible. Now, the Bears this week don't really need to talk about it. They played Buffalo. I mean, come on. It's why I put the New York Jets. I mean, the New York Jets are playing Buffalo this week. That's a horrible game. And yet I am going to pick up the New York Jets defense for my fantasy team if I can grab them off the waiver wire because it's Buffalo. Anyways, the big news here is that the Bears do play the Lions, as I mentioned, but they play the Lions twice and the Vikings twice and the Rams and us. So there's a good chance that they could come up with 4 losses out of that entire bunch. So if the Bears end up losing 4 of those games, that means the Bears finish 9-7.
Like it.
All right. So then you got the Vikings, where Thielen finally shows some not so superhuman-like qualities. He slows a little bit as Dalvin Cook returns to the lineup, but it was the hat trick plus 3.5 sacks that was put up by Hunter that added to a 10-sack performance by the defense for the Vikings. That was a franchise record this past weekend. Everyone's going to be talking about that for weeks to come. And, of course, this really strange throw by Cousins that nobody understood why he was throwing it there, except for maybe the other team, because it resulted in an interception. But that was really Cousins' only bad blemish on the day. So think about it this way. The Vikes look like they could be poised for a little bit of a comeback here. And the Vikes take a week off before heading to Chicago, where we will all be cheering loudly as Vikings fans. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud.
Wait a minute.
I know. But if the Vikings could win if the Vikings win every game from here on out, except the one they play against us, and we win out, we technically win the division because the Bears are 9-7 and the Lions are 7-9. We will actually have the tiebreaker over the Vikings because of our win plus the tie. So that is the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, Vikings win out except against the Packers, and the Packers have to win out. We win the North. Easy peasy, right? Best case, Vikings still have the Patriots and the Seahawks, and they lose to us, which means they'll end up finishing 9-6-1. Predictions.
Make a note of it.
So what does this all mean, right? Vikings 9-6-1, Bears 9-7, Lions 7-9. Where do the Packers need to finish? What this means is that we have to beat the Vikings and do no worse than tying with the Vikings at 9-6-1, which means that the Packers can only lose 2 more games. And they can't beat any of our division foes. We can't lose to the Bears. We can't lose to the Lions. We can't lose to the Vikings, which means Miami is a must-win game because we still have Seattle, who is away, and we have Atlanta, which is a home game, and we know we have problems with Atlanta. So if those 2 are losses, then we will finish 9-6-1, tied with Minnesota, and we own the tiebreaker. So yes, Thanksgiving weekend, Sunday night, that Minnesota game is huge. Huge. So yeah, just know 2 more losses, and we're talking about should we fire McCarthy and all this other blah 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 blah. Until we lose 2 more games, I don't want to hear any of it. We're still in the hunt. Playoff season is a whole new season.
Yeah, and with the NFC North, with all these scenarios, it's very doable. It's not like being in the NFC East where the Giants are 1-7 and really there's mathematically hope, but really.
Yeah. No. Things are still good. More details, more information on all that. Check out the show notes, PackersFanPodcast.com/167 as we look to that game against Miami up there at Lambeau Field where we are undefeated at home. So just wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, Brocktober is over. Yes. And now you are in Packers country there, Mr. Osweiler, because Tannehill won't be playing, sitting it out again, taking advantage of the bye week, as we already mentioned. Pettin's defense is going to be coming for you. Minnesota made it have 10 sacks last week. Pettin's going to do 20 against you, Osweiler.
Whoa.
So you better be watching. Because the defense is coming for you, Brock. That's right. But here's the thing. The reason why Miami actually does have a semi-decent record and a winning record at this point is because they run the sweep a lot. They run the screen a lot. They go to the outside. So if we come in on the blitz, there's a good chance that Brock is going to go ahead and throw the screen pass. So we need to make sure that we watch out for the screen pass throughout the course of this contest this week. Also, remember 5.2 yards a carry for the tandem? Let's just run the ball. Keep them off the field. If they're not on the field, they can't score. We control the clock, 45 minutes of possession, game over. Easy peasy. And of course, fundamentals. Hold on to the ball, no stupid penalties. And hey, Aaron, can we get one of those free plays where you just throw a touchdown for fun? Because we haven't had one of those yet this year. It's an easy win this week. Let's take it while we can get it, get back on the road, and hopefully pull one win off on the road against Seattle, which would be fun because we hate the Seahawks.
We do hate the Seahawks. And the fact that that Seahawks game is just 4 days after the game against the Dolphins, we do need to make it an easy victory, get out with no new injuries, and get ready to hit the road. You know, the Packers are bouncing from East Coast to West Coast to East Coast to West Coast. Oh, I don't know how they do it. Jet lag for days.
I mean, and yeah, I get the travel schedule's rough and everything, but the way McCarthy in the press conference I saw today made it sound about the travel schedule, it was like an excuse. Like, I don't want to hear excuses, man. You guys are professionals. You've done this crap for years. Condition your body, figure it out, and you'll be good to go. Travel sucks. We all get it, but you should still be able to come in and play 3 hours of football.
Amen to that. Put your hands on your iPhone or Android and say, yeah. Just kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Well, shall we dare and think seriously about our game predictions for this upcoming game, Troy?
You thought really seriously last week because you said the Patriots would score 31, and they did.
I should have said the Patriots were going to score 1. But, okay, so I nailed the Pats score, so shall I go ahead and take the lead this week, Sir Troy?
You have the floor.
I'm laying it out there. Packers win by 10, 27-17.
Whoa, close, because I have Packers win by 9. Packers 30, Fins 21.
I like it. I like it.
And that's a Green Bay win, too, because I believe the line right now is 7.5 points in favor of the Packers. So given the Fins 7.5, as well as the over-under was at 51.5, I believe, last time I saw it. So I am taking the under by 0.5 point.
Okie dokie. And you're predicting a 9-point victory. I'm predicting a 10-point victory. Add the two together, you get 19. Packers were founded in 1919. Stephen King, 19. Yeah, it's all coming together now, as is the weather at Lambeau Field. This week, like you said, Troy, winter's almost here. Partly cloudy and around 40 degrees at kickoff. So bundle up because, that's like 3:25 in the afternoon, and to be 40 degrees, I guess it's just going to go down from there, temperature-wise.
Well, and now we're after daylight saving time, too. So because of that, it's going to get dark
Fast.
Quickly, probably around 5 o'clock before the game's over. So we'll be finishing this as a night game when we go ahead and put up the W after 6 p.m. So that'll be a fun time. I'm sad I can't go hang out with my Milwaukee homies this weekend. But say hi to my grandpa. This might be his last trip up there since he's not as spry as he used to be climbing up the stairs and stuff. So if you see him, say hi. And then I'll be there, obviously, next year, sitting there in the good old 45-yard line and over in 122. So exciting times. And with that, we'll close it out for this week. The Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. However, we sure would love to be able to be included in the conversation. Maybe do one of those cool videos you see on Packers.com just for fun. It'd be cool. Let us know if we can help out. media@PackersFanPodcast.com is the email address to reach us.
And remember, people, follow us all season long on Twitter. Lots of things happening. Try to live tweet during every game at Packers Fan Pod. You can even follow me on my personal account at Wayne Henderson. Other things going on there as well.
Yeah, and I'm at Troy Heinritz. I'm getting ready to start up a brand new season of The Blacklist in January over at theblacklistexposed.com. So follow at Troy Heinritz on Twitter or at The Blacklist GSM if you're a fan of James Spader and company, because we got some cast and crew interviews that are going to be coming up here over the holidays to prep for season 6. So that'll be fun. And if you don't like The Blacklist at all, then just keep the conversations going over in the Packers fan podcast community at packerscommunity.com. Join in on the conversation and have a blast.
And then having a blast watching the Packers win is good. And after you see the Packers win, get in your feedback at packersfanpodcast.com/feedback. Let your voice be heard. Keep those conversations going online in all the places we just talked about, because there's a lot of Packer talk to be had. It's all fun. And I want to thank you for listening to this week's edition of your Packers Fan Podcast. So I will.
Don't forget 920-3PACK-GO. That's 920-3PACK-GO. You could call that number anytime, day or night, during the game, at halftime, afterwards. Operators are standing by. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss an episode, Google Podcasts if you got an Android, or Spotify if you don't care whether smartphones are the way to go or not, because we are there and we are everywhere. So let's get hyped. The Fins are coming to town. The Dolphins might be cute, but that's all they are. So we could go ahead and beat them, of course, with our help from the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics. Take it away.
Hey, Wayne and Troy and Packer Nation. This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese, and we have something to say.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, proud mom of number 88, Ty Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack, go!